but what I would say about is Jankos. So this is the thing. This is the thing that I don't really understand, which is that in Europe they keep going with this narrative that like Jankos is washed or like he's an old man,
or saying he doesn't have mechanics or whatever. It's nonsense in it at all.
It's not. It's so crazy. Like this guy, if this guy was on Fnatic or G2, he would have been all pro jungler every split, except maybe Winter.
I'll give you. You'll appreciate this. I'll give you the anecdote. After the split where you guys didn't even get to the groups, you just lost to the BO1s. I actually did like one of my like infamous DMs. I don't do that often. I save it so that like it means something when I do it, right? And I thought, well, maybe Jankos is like a bit down in the dumps. He used to be on G2, he used to be going to Worlds. So I sent him a DM where I basically just said, look, mate, I know it's a fucked up scenario, but I actually think you had one of your best splits ever. Like you were amazing. The problem with that, I realised, Peter, as I even sent the message, was someone who's won that many championships and like almost won Worlds, they don't want to hear that like they were awesome in the fucking split with the game ninth or whatever. Like I realised as I sent it, like actually for a rookie this would be great. This is terrible for a veteran actually. So sadly, I get the sense that like even if he was awesome, he himself has to believe that like he was making all mistakes. Because I agree with you, mate. If you just put like essentially like we were talking earlier, if that El Yoya move didn't happen and they just kept Jankos, wouldn't he just be winning the LEC this year? Like he would have been awesome still, right?
So I know there's a lot of Yank fans, but let me put it this way: if Jankos was on G2 at Worlds, G2 would have gone further. Like I mean, like
we're not hating on Jankos. Like Jankos is the best. Yeah.
I mean, like against like contracts, Yank struggled against contracts a lot, and the Jankos has made his entire career about neutralizing people who play this way.
Yes.
So that's what I would say about this. So obviously, happy to have Jankos, but this narrative, so it drives me crazy. But I think that the one thing that maybe having a rough split like this, the one thing which it did for Jankos is the one thing he asked, which I've never had a player ask me before, is so I do a post split review with every single player, right? And normally we talk about in-game things and we talk about like off-season homework and things like this, right? And as a throwaway comment, like I said, oh, but I noticed your leadership style was very, and then was this, and think about this for the off season, and like it was just a throwaway comment, right? And he kept me for an extra hour and a half for what should have been like a 1 hour meeting, and we just talked about leadership style. And like what he could do, how he could adapt, how he could help with rookies, make them more comfortable, what he could do to make a better team environment. He asked me, how did Impact work in the team? How did Humanoid work in the team? How did, even how did Revolta work in the team, right? And we just spoke about this. And it's very clear to me that maybe this was something he hadn't thought about as well. But the difference between Jankos in winter and spring was doing what made him feel comfortable, right? What was just... Yeah, well, what made it? Whereas what he was doing in summer was what made his teammates feel the most comfortable. And I would say that, like, there's something like clicked between spring and summer, and I don't know how to explain it. But maybe it was a different team, but the way that he was behaving, like, was just completely different, and it was really telling, especially in the best of threes. Like, he would just. Yeah, he just was a lot more like positive. He was took on a lot more responsibility. Looked after his teammates a lot more. It was like, yeah, I would just say that like he was. It was very interesting to see the progression. But yeah, like I said, like this guy, there's literally, don't. No, I shouldn't be saying this, right? Because I like, if you're another team in LEC, do not think about signing Jankos. He's dreadful, horrible. He'll drag your team into the floor. You don't want him anymore. But I think again, one of the things that I've always believed as a coach is if you have veterans on your team, you have a responsibility to your veterans to put rosters around them that can help them achieve what the results that they deserve to achieve. And hopefully, Heretics coming into next year will have put a roster around Jankos that can get him to where a player of his level deserves. So that's what I would say going into next year.
See more cool, funny, interesting clips based on topics from my content? Well, subscribe to this channel then, or be a pleb and don't.